All right, Ian. On the tailwind of the news of the Nintendo Switch 2 pricing of the console and the accessories and the games, which flummoxed a lot of us. We talked about it in the podcast last month, which Nintendo has actually updated some of those prices in the past couple weeks. Microsoft has come out with something I think has been unprecedented, I believe, in the history of video games, is that in the middle of your console generation, you are going to jack the prices of the current product that is still being produced.
And normally how this is done is by releasing, well, at this point it's getting more popular. It started with, the PS4 and PS3 redesigns and console redesigns.
Slim versions.
Slim versions. This is how you would do it. You would either, slim down the unit, make it more attractive, or, starting with the last generation, you'd add a little bit more power to it, and that's how you would get your price bump mid-generation to kind of get the money flowing back in. Well, this isn't a mid-generation refresh. There's nothing new about any of these consoles. The mid-generation refresh that they were working on, I believe it was called Brooklyn, was scrapped. So you're not getting a mid-generation refresh. You're just getting more expensive prices on Xbox systems. So here's the rundown. The S512 gigabyte is now $380 from $300. The Series S 1 terabyte is now $430 from $350. The X 1 terabyte digital is $550 from $450. The X 1 terabyte with Blu-ray is now $600 instead of $500, and the 2 terabyte Black Special Edition is $730 from $600. And I just don't.
I think you should have started from the original number first, just to show the jump up. We're talking between 20 and 25% increases on these. On the same product, that if you bought it currently, you'd be fine. But 3 months from now, whenever the new stock comes in and refresh them, there you go. You're paying 20 to 25% more.
This is effective May 1st.
Okay, I don't know if that means the stores immediately that have it in stock are going to jack their price, or does that mean the stock that they're buying that's coming in, they're going to pay more for and they jack it up?
I think it is. And this brings me to my next point with this that I think is kind of awful. The prices are going up around the world. They're not just going up in the US. And what I see here is a company raising prices on the fear of tariffs without necessarily... If they're raising these prices worldwide, I don't necessarily... I mean, is that all tariffs? Is this preemptive? Or is a little bit of this... People think that the price is going to go up anyways, so
we can do it.
So we're gonna increase the price.
I don't know. Here's the thing: I know that there's exemptions now, even from China on electronics, because otherwise, we would have literally $3,500 iPhones. Everyone would go lose their fucking mind.
Sure.
So and obviously those companies are raising hell about that.
These are our little treats.
I mean, it's a big treat, but we love our expensive gadgets that keep us dull and tamed. But I think it's a combination of things, and obviously we don't know the inner workings of Nintendo when they're doing these things.
Microsoft,
or Microsoft, because Nintendo announced this earlier, and we suggested that it was a combination probably of tariffs and unknown things is why they're raising the prices and the accessories, even the game.
I think it's tariffs and the assumption of tariffs is what's raising is what.
And the new world order that may be coming, where we're just not a dependable baby market in the future for products like we once were because of all this weird shit happening.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons why we'll get into that. They're also jacking the prices of the games because they got to make their money back somewhere, or just go for it. Or they decide, like you said, this is what happened during the pandemic. During the pandemic, what happened was we had real supply chain issues. We had factories shut down in China. We had chip shortages because companies were buying up the chips because they knew there was going to be they were going to have a problem getting them in the short term, which then accelerated the spiral of not being able to acquire these things for cheap because they bought them all when they shouldn't have. They stocked up on parts. That happened as well. And then you have not being able to get the things over to the U.S. for as cheap as you could because of the container issues and the ships. I brought this up in past podcasts. So that raised prices. That was real things that happened. But other companies decided this is our chance because some of the things are going up in price by 10, 15, 20%. We're going to do the same. We're going to raise the price of our fucking Big Mac and make record profits, not because the cost for us went up, because we can get away with it and people will just accept it.
Yep, so, and I think we're going to see costs explode on a lot of things because of tariffs, legitimately. But I also feel like we're going to see a lot of fucking companies go, everyone's expecting things to be more expensive now, so we're just going to make this more expensive.
And that's what'll lead to a recession. And we're probably going to see that anyway because there won't be products on the shelves in months when our current supply runs out of what we have here, and nothing's going to be imported from China. But yeah, again, we're not in the room. We don't know if Microsoft says, well, we think that this could affect prices over the next year. It'll be harder to get chips. We're competing with other companies. Nintendo has their new stuff coming out. Like, we don't know if it's just that. It's a fear of new tariffs or taking off the tariffs. Either way, it's not fucking good. It's not good for the industry. It's obviously not good for consumers. And it leads you to an existential question, which you brought up. We talked about the rising, Switch price and everything. At what point is it too much?
Well, we're there. I think it's all going to start crumbling. I mean, so Microsoft also announced that some of their flagship games coming out this holiday season will be at $79.99.
We crossed the Rubicon. We're at $80.
And that's, I believe in this article by Engadget, I would have to look and find it, but there's a quote where they say, this is pretty much just because they saw Nintendo do it, and they were like, well, we can do it too. That has nothing to do with tariffs.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that has nothing to do with tariffs.
Yeah, because those aren't digital games won't be tariffed for sure. So and then even the physical, we don't know if they're going to be tariffed, but I don't think they are at this point. I don't think so. They're not coming out of China for the most part, so I don't think they are. So
I think we really are looking at a breaking point. And I mentioned earlier something about how console gaming. I mean, this is killing it. There's plenty of indie games to play and things to do on PC, but your consoles, even though you can get a lot of the indie games, smaller games, self-funded studio games, I feel like the console experience as a whole relies on your AAA, especially right now. It all changed in the PS4, I think, Xbox One era. We lost some of these like single A games, like the smaller studios under, larger companies making games where everything now is it's the AAA game. What's the next big showpiece? And if those are getting super expensive and companies are laying people off, I'm seeing the market for a console shrink. And Microsoft doesn't even do well in the console sales area. So what are they thinking, right? I mean, raising the prices. I mean, it's a market segment they don't care about, so maybe that's one way to look at it.
Maybe they would say, screw it, we're going to push people to get PCs, our games on PC instead. Who cares? We're still going to make the money.
I genuinely kind of think it's like, do they just not want to sell these? Do they not want to be responsible for an Xbox marketplace? They don't. The only thing I can think of is they don't care about selling these, and they'll take the higher price from the people who want them.
Yeah, we don't want to take a loss. This is the profit we want it to be worth our time, or fuck you, go buy our games on PC or Steam or on play them wherever else on a fucking Steam deck. You know what I mean? That could be their mentality.
It could be.
Maybe they see the writing on the wall. They don't want to deal with this anymore. They've set themselves up for this for several years, where it's like, well, if our PC goes away, we're good. We have all we bought out so many companies the past several years that'll be making games that everyone's going to buy. They'll be out on Sony consoles. They'll be out on Nintendo consoles. So who cares? We're good.
So who cares? Moving on,
I'm not done in this yet because they're also increasing their accessories.
Well, yes, you're right.
On top.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't know.
$200 for the Elite Xbox controller with all the attachments and add-ons.
So I don't know much about these controls. I know you can
They've got,
customize
them and shit.
You can like make things a little bit better for you. I guess you can like dial up the intensity on the.
Well, you can add paddles and stuff to it. You can. I think there's an extra button on the back, a paddle button that's like assignable.
Well, it's a standard controller still.
It's a standard controller with doohickeys.
$200. $200 for a controller that probably costs them $20 to produce in parts. Yeah. Just let that sink in. Just a standard The standard controller that they've had for 20 years, with a little more doohickeys on it, $200. It's incredible. Incredible. I don't want to say insane. That's incredible that they can sell it for that and not be bashful about that. That is nuts. And I just want to see how long it would take to catch up in the prices. This article had it at $274, but now I checked it for the Series S. It's $380 now. So like it's either they sold out of the current stock at the current price, or they just adjusted it.
No, they just adjusted it. That's literally it, and that's also what makes me realize that this is not just because of tariffs. This is because they're taking advantage of a situation.
Well, here's the thing. If Walmart already has their stock and they paid for it, they can just sell it as is. But they're like, well, fuck it. You know, we got to buy more at the higher price. We might as well change the price now.
No one is going to voluntarily not do that.
Sure. I'm just trying to say, like, they could have not done it immediately.
Yes.
But they're probably like, well.
Oh, yeah. No, I know that. Yes.
If Best Buy and GameStop did it, we'd be stupid not to do it.
Yes. This is all just lemmings following each other.
Yeah. I'm trying to just see like how quickly I wish I paid attention to time to see how quickly the change happened. Was it a day? Was it 48 hours? Like how immediate was the change after the announcement? That's what I would have been interested in seeing.
So Nintendo, continuing the discussion about console prices, Nintendo has kept the Switch 2 price the same, $449. They did open up the pre-orders on April 24th. I was following all sorts of people getting their pre-orders or not. I did not put my pre-order. I don't fucking care. I'll wait till next year.
And I saw some reactions like, well, people complaining about the higher prices, but people are still ordering them. There's always early adopters to new technology.
Yeah.
Always. It doesn't mean it's going to be the same runaway hit that the prior one was. There's always going to be people that get in early on this stuff. There's always going to be people that camp out for 2 months at the World Nintendo store to get it. I don't know why, but there's always people that want to be the first in. It's part of the cultural vibe.
So Nintendo did not raise prices on consoles, but they did raise the price on their accessories to eye-watering levels for some of these.
Eye-watering levels.
The Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller is $85 fucking dollars.
And it was 60 or 65 before on the Switch?
I think it was 70 on the Switch.
It was 70?
And it was not a great controller.
Not a proper D-pad still.
Nope. Horrible D-pad. This one is probably not going to have a proper D-pad either.
It's amazing because they invented the D-pad.
And it's crazy because the Microsoft Xbox controllers are actually my favorite controllers. I hate to say that. They raised the price, but only to $65. So, like, a controller of this caliber does not need to be that expensive. There's nothing in there that is making it need to be $85. This may be more tariff.
Yes. Okay, that's it.
Possibly more tariff aligned.
Tariff hedging or
yes
versus the consoles get into. We forgot to talk about Donkey Kong Bonanza. We were kind of embarrassed from the last podcast.
Looks great.
We sort of glanced over. Yeah, it looks fun.
I think it looks awesome.
Not a killer app, but it'll sell a good amount probably.
Joy-Cons though.
I skipped that. $70 for Donkey Kong Bonanza. So that's above the 60. We're already going up on that. Was that Joy-Con pair?
Joy-Con pair is beyond the pale. It's $95.
$95 for a Joy-Con pair.
I've always found Joy-Cons to be overly expensive to begin with because they kind of suck as actual controllers. You just need them. They were $80 a pair in the U.S. for regular Switch Joy-Cons.
What's the pat math on 15 divided by 80 here? We got to look what percentage increase is at here that we're getting at here. 15 divided by 80 is 19%. We'll just say 20% increase.
What was even crazier to me was when I was in Japan, the difference in price between Joy-Cons. In Japan, when I was there, you could get a pair of Joy-Cons for about $65 US.
Wow.
And that's not just inflation, because if that was just exchange, they would have been priced at like 79,000 yen or something like that, but they weren't. They were priced at like 72,000 yen. So those have always been gouging. I mean, Jesus Christ, $100.
This gets worse. Like going down this list, the charging grip, the thing that looks like the grip that you put it in the Joy-Cons to make it a controller, $40 it's a hunk of plastic with like a fucking lithium ion acceptor in it. $40.
I don't know. I mean, I gotta be honest. This is probably just Nintendo doing it. I mean, I'm looking at like stuff like that. This is not stuff that's going to be. They're raising prices because they can.
A Joy-Con 2 strap. A strap is $14. Are we talking the little cloth thing that you put around your wrist?
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
$14 for what? We're talking about one, or is that a pack of 50? Like, is that like a party pack? Is it like 14? Like what?
I mean, I think
I get it. It's Nintendo brand, and you're gonna have a nice package on it, but we're talking about value.
Strap.
There's still a value proposition when it comes to items.
You don't need a Nintendo tax, and
there's exactly Nintendo tax.
What I think what happened is they do this. They have this direct, right? Then the tariff news announcement gets hit, and everyone fucking panics and goes, shit, this is going to be expensive. And Nintendo looks at it and goes, oh, we can raise some prices. People are expecting this to be expensive.
The price on Amazon right now for two, this doesn't say 2-pack. Does it? It doesn't. It says Joy-Con 2 strap, not 2-pack. It's $7 on Amazon right now for two of them. Originally $15. I swear, if this is not two of them for $14, then we are in a world of trouble.
Well, let's really dig into Nintendo here. This is fucking garbage here. The Nintendo Switch 2 camera, a fucking basic ass webcam that they even showed is going to deliver choppy video, is $55 fucking dollars.
Well, choppy video for the gameplay. The face, I think, might be clear, but we're not sure it's even an HD camera.
No.
That I don't know if that was confirmed or not. Like, what type of camera actually is
even
this?
if it is, I still feel like that is...
That's bad.
Yes. An additional dock is $120. I think they were $100 for the Switch.
That's 20% increase. Wow. Don't break your dock. You're screwed. That's all.
$35 for an AC adapter. Depends on what I mean. Like power bricks, like the Xbox power bricks used to be expensive, but if this is just an AC adapter,
this is the AC adapter from the same one,
standard
the
one?
same size as the Switch. I mean, it's a little bit bigger than
$35. Blow me.
I'm hyperventilating because that's like. And then here's the one that you got right. We're talking about the pricing range. Because remember, you need a new SD card. Mm-hmm. You need the Express version, not the regular SD. I don't know. It has to be quicker. I don't know why. $60. $60 for 256 gigs. $60. Which most people will need that eventually. One of those cards.
That's not something you have to buy initially, but no, that's awful.
At some point, you will probably need that. Unless you want to go through deleting your games and replaying them when you want to, go back and forth because of space issues.
Honestly, I don't pay attention to this stuff anymore. The world of video games, the corporate world of video games, the shiny big three world of video games does nothing for me right now. Nothing. And anytime I think that it's going to do something for me, hey, that Donkey Kong game looks kind of fun. I like Mario Kart. Then you look at this, and just the $450 price alone, I'm like, I don't really need to be spending that necessarily right now with a move coming up. But then you realize that if you're going to set yourself up for two players with reasonable controllers, you're already looking at $600-$700 for everything you need plus games. It's too much.
You can recycle the old Switch Pro controller.
Well, yes, true.
That'll save you, right, on that. And then I don't know. You can use the old Joy-Cons.
Like I said, you can, just not connected to the system.
Okay.
You can use them as controllers off the system.
So that'll save you from that cost. But if you can't get the bundle for Mario Kart, that's $530. $530. That's your entry level. To play one Switch 2 game is $530.
And let's assume that let's assume that most people are going to either buy an additional Pro controller or an additional set of Joy-Cons. Sure. That's taking you to over $600.
That's a reasonable assumption. I want four players,
one
more
the
set.
Other.
One more set. I got to pay $95 before tax. Another $100. Now we're at over $600.
But you can use the Joy-Cons as two controllers. It sucks to use them as two controllers.
So, and then stuff like, the carrying case, the official carrying case is $85. Thankfully, unless Genki...
That's your all-in-one carrying case. So I'm assuming that that's the one that gives you the room for the fucking controller and the AC adapter and the dock.
And of course, unless these companies like Genki get sued into oblivion, they'll have their cheaper version than the official one that'll work just as well.
But $40 for a carrying case and a screen protector is still... I would say $10 more than it should be.
So again, they obviously jacked these prices because of tariff concerns, and they said to themselves, we can't raise the console price anymore. If there's going to be tariffs put on this stuff in the future, no one's going to buy a $550 Switch 2. We have to make our money back elsewhere, like with the game prices, for example, but also with the Joy-Con pair and the charging grip price and the memory card and the AC adapter costing $35 to $40. It's just that they're going to make your money back. That they're going to keep the ecosystem entry point, even though it's really expensive, as low as they can, because once you're in, you're in. You cannot escape.
But once you buy that console,
yes, you're in.
And then you're screwed with all the other prices, and they're not expecting people to look at that as closely.
Correct.
So you keep the console price low. People go, okay, that's reasonable, and then you're just fucked on everything else.
Yeah. So again, I know it's sold out of early pre-orders that are out there. We never said no one's going to get this console. We're looking at.
I don't think it's going to be a failure. I just think that as a whole, it's a bad sign for the video game consoles to come. Because people are not going to eat this constantly.
Well, there's no way it's going to sell as well as the first Switch. That's impossible. It's just at what point will it fall, and at what point will this become? You don't want to see Nintendo Switch 2. Not saying it's going to ever be a tech bro thing, or it's like Microsoft versus Sony having the biggest and best, biggest and greatest cutting edge technology. But for the prices now that you are seeing, when it's more money to get this or just as much versus getting an Xbox console, then you start to ask yourself questions like that.
Well, I feel like that's avoided a bit by...
I'm talking about even before that sure. Microsoft jacked their prices up.
I'm just saying, I think I think Nintendo wins that generally just because, like as they always have, it's for the Nintendo game.
Sure.
My problem is we really got to move on. But as I mentioned in the previous podcast, I think Nintendo is losing that Nintendo charm. They're losing the things that make them uniquely Nintendo, and their first-party stuff is not there now. But there is a danger that Nintendo is going to make itself too boring, too gray, and too much like Microsoft and Sony for anyone to find a reason to go to a lower-powered Nintendo product.
Yes, and I don't want people to forget their history. Nintendo, historically, have captured market share and maintained them by rapidly lowering the price of their consoles after a year or two. And halving the prices in some cases. I'm looking at my NES console set with Super Mario Brothers. That thing was like $100. I think it was like a little over $100 to get that with the game.
Yeah,
it wasn't $200 for the action set.
Right.
That was like $100 for that, or like $120, and you get one of the best games ever made with it. Mm-hmm. That was value proposition. That's why my parents got that for me. You basically got an awesome game for free.
And now you can pay a lot of money for a Switch 2 and then have the privilege of buying the tech demo.
Well,
we got to get off this topic.
That's depressing, Ian. Moving on.